What's up, friends of the good mood? This is Manni with the second episode of my Vega conflict fitting guide. The purpose of this video series is to provide you guys with fittings that have proven to be most effective against other player fleets in farming Vega or attacking bases. This episode right here is all about the Revelation Cruiser, which everyone can research. One thing ahead, due to the Revelation Cruiser's lack of speed, it is very hard to have a strong fleet of Revelation Cruisers now that the carriers have changed the gameplay so much. I would say at least every second battle that I fought within the last weeks was against a fleet with a carrier. So using only Revelation Cruisers will bring you in situations where you cannot harm your enemy because you're simply not fast enough. I will still present you with the fittings that have the least amount of weak spots, but I strongly suggest getting a carrier to support the fleet. If you don't know how to get a carrier, here is a video showing you one way. Click the link here or in the video description. What you are seeing here is the first fitting that I'm going to show you. It's called the Phased Max configuration that I've already shown you in episode 1. That also applies to the Revelation Cruiser, of course. And the principle of this fitting is dealing damage directly to armor with phased projectiles level 5 and also iridium magnets so that the shots actually hit something. In these fitting screenshots that will follow, always pay attention to the address bar up there where I wrote down information about the fleet. How many ships is the fleet meant to have, and if the optimal situation would require a carrier instead of a 6th ship. The weakness of this Phased Max configuration is of course that you're really slow, which is why I show you now the Midgard carrier, for example, that you can get from farming level 45 VSAC and getting the blueprint, that offers you a agility support field that will make your ships faster, okay? That's really important. This specific carrier has less range than all other carriers, and also it cannot fit that much, but it is important because of that speed bonus, okay? And that's why you should use the carrier here. You could even make the Revelation Cruisers a little bit stronger because you would have mass left. The ideal situation would be to have this carrier right here, the Ragnarok, with a lot of range, a lot of supported mass and strength and all that goodness in combination with the agility support field also. The second fitting is the so-called thermal revs. It requires only a minimum amount of tech and can be very strong against a lot of setups. Don't mind the strange thermal beam graphical bug inside that video footage. I don't know what the heck is going on there, but you can also see that a carrier is being used to support the thermal rev fleet, okay? It's the Valhalla carrier. A Ragnarok carrier would be even better because it would speed up the revs with rear thrusters level 5 so fast that they would be able to get in range against almost anything. The fitting is balanced for 6 fast ships. You will be able to get in range against a lot of things, but there are some setups that will just kill you easily unless you have a carrier of your own. That's an unfortunate truth right there. Carriers cover weak spots. And if you don't have them, then you might not be able to cover those. Simple as that. The next fitting has no video footage yet and uses the new Gatling ray on a Revelation fleet. It's also designed for 6 ships like this, but of course also here 5, and a carrier is once again better. The good thing about this fitting is that the Gatling ray penetrates one enemy ship, hitting 2 altogether when they behind each other. So your enemy won't be able to shield his ships with the ones that still have a good amount of shields or hit points. And one more thing, those Gatling rays will probably be very good against taking down enemy squadrons. So your carrier, if you have one, might be able to send his squadrons very easily, while the enemy squadrons are getting shot down pretty fast. The next fleet is an entire fleet fitting. You could just copy that whole thing and it's badass. Those Revelation Cruisers have Spectra Shield 5 twice and Rear Thrusters 5, getting even faster than this due to the Ragnarok support field. A ton of damage output by Seco missiles with splash damage takes out entire fleets so quickly and is hard to counter, and enemy squadrons don't even get through your rocket barrages. What you can see here is exactly that fitting on Apocrypha Cruisers, okay, but exactly the same fitting would also work on Revs. If you want to see the fitting again, just go back and pause and you can see it for as long as you want. What makes the fitting so powerful is that the enemies never really use shock shields, so anti-explosive shields. They sometimes have metaphase shields, which makes it harder, but usually you just cut through their shields very fast. And on some very rare occasions you might even be allowed to do this, to kite the enemy fleet with the Seco missiles and take him out easily without really getting shot back. Now unfortunately that's most of the fleet versus fleet fittings that I can give you. Like I said, the lack of speed makes it very hard for this ship to perform well. If you would ask me for a fitting that does not require any kind of blueprint or event tech, then this fitting right here would be the kiting fitting to try to outspeed and outrange the enemy, and this fitting right here would be some kind of rush fitting. When it comes to farming Vega fleets and accomplishing events, a little while ago I came up with this auto fleet that uses relatively low tech. The only not researchable item you need for this is a thermal beam level 2 that you probably already have when you have a fleet of Revelation Cruisers, and most definitely have when you frequently follow my stuff on YouTube. Be aware that the fitting of these ships uses titanium armor in order to keep the repair time minimal, because people are often using those fleets to finish events and riots and sometimes also coin the repair, which we can keep on an okay basis with a ship repair of 1.5 hours each. If you want to know how to do it, click on this link right here or the topmost link in the video description to get to my Riot in 2 hours tutorial. By the way, you can improve the fitting a little bit by using ionized optics level 1 instead of focused optics level 3 if you have those. And since we're talking Vega farming fittings right now, this one must be in there. It's the tank for farming level 50 to 55 Vega fleets using 5 battleships with stray thrusters, projectile weapons and phase projectiles perk. You don't need to have those Fury battleships for it, okay? Don't worry, Venom battleships will do just fine. But for this you need a really good tank, this one right here. If you don't have armored hold level 3, no problem, just leave it out, it just gives the ship more HP. And if you want to know how to farm level 50 to 55 Vega in below 2 minutes having really low repair afterwards, click the clip right here or the third link in the video description. I might do another video soon with Venom battleships though. Alright, let's quickly come to the base rush fittings. It's basically the same from episode 1, this time even with the correct ships in the video. It's only 6 ships using high armor, level 5 shock shield and thermal beams to be placed near the mines and focus fire the bridge. Against top bases you mostly need 2 of these fleets in order to take it out though. So don't get confused by the fact that he doesn't make it in one hit, okay? And when you do that, you should try to attack from different directions at the same time. And this would be the fitting for it. Keep in mind, base rush fleets need a good amount of HP, so using Syntium armor here is not a bad idea. It can even save you from having to use a second fleet to take down your target. And last but not least, we have the Creeper Torpedo Rush fleet that was also in the first episode. Creepers can get the 75% mark very easy sometimes when your opponent built his base having everything very tight together. That was not a very good attempt here, so don't get confused and think the Creeper Rush can't do anything. My base does not allow for much splash damage and the firepower is really high. And also that is a little bit older video footage where the fleet bay is not integrated into the base because there weren't any squadrons back then. We do have a problem with the fitting though, because even though we maxed out the mass on each ship totally, almost 100%, as good as we could, okay, with the Creeper Torps, high Syntium armor, shock shield and all that, even though we did that, we still have 4,565 mass left, because we cannot put a 6th Revelation Cruiser in here, because there is something that you need to know. When you're using a Creeper base rush fleet, you need to make sure that there's at least one ship with one weapon alive left, so that all the Creepers that are still on their way after the last Revelation Cruiser died will also reach the target and explode, which can take up to 15 seconds or so, okay? And if there's one ship with a weapon, then this is guaranteed and will happen, because otherwise if there's not a ship with a weapon left, then the combat will just end even though there's still a couple of Creeper Torps on their way. Now, how do we fill up that mass with something that actually benefits our fleet, okay? Without dying in the process. So, and I came up with this, and I think this is a really, really good idea. You can see here we have a Ragnarok carrier now. Of course, if you don't have the Ragnarok carrier, you need to switch to something else, and then you have a little bit of mass left. Don't worry. Then you have like a Nighthawk frigate sitting outside and waiting until everything has exploded, and then you go. But you will waste a little bit of your fleet mass. So if you have the Ragnarok carrier, then you could use that in order to speed up your fleet and bring it in faster, which ultimately allows you to fire longer. And also, you can see I equipped it with Bomber Squadrons level 2, you can also use Fighter Squadrons. So next to the speed buff, you also send out squadrons also at your target and deal a little bit of damage that way. But most importantly, those squadrons will be sent out all the time, and they will block shots from defending turrets. So your fleet is not only faster in, it will also survive longer because the shots are being blocked by those Bomber Squadrons flying around the bridge, okay? Of course, you need to turn around early and get out before your last rev dies. Even though it can take a little bit of beating and it will not die immediately, you still want it to survive, I guess. I think that idea has a lot of potential, and I've never seen it being used yet. And also that carrier would allow you to rim the base first and do a little bit of percent damage before you attack, so then when you finally attack, you actually get the 75% mark easier. Like in episode 1, I would like to give you some fun fitting examples for lower levels, but the ref just isn't fast enough, sorry. But I hope you could get some really nice ideas and inspiration from this video. Check the comments, guys, because I have something new for you here. I want you to decide which ship will be in the next episode. For this I comment only the name of 3 different ships in 3 different comments. The one with the most thumbs up will be on episode 3, the one with the second most will be in episode 4. So all you have to do is one click. Remember that you can support me and my videos on Patreon if you like, okay? Link is in the video description. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment down below. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe as brutal as a man can hit for more. Thanks for bearing with me. You guys are awesome as always. Manni-Gaming signing off. Bye bye.